Welcome in, everybody, to the CFB Nation All-America podcast. I'm Bill Trocchi, senior editor at sportingnews.com, alongside Bill Bender, our national college football writer at sportingnews.com, and the president of the Football Writers Association of America. We're coming to you live on our CFB Nation YouTube channel again. If you want to subscribe, just go over to youtube.com, search CFB Nation, and click subscribe. Bill, we have hit Thanksgiving week. Very slow week work-wise for all of us, since we've got a condensed week and we have the biggest games of the season and we have coaching searches. It's kind of like Labor Day weekend where we've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday games. So happy holidays, Bill.
Oh, yeah. A lot to do this week, obviously, with the coaching searches and the rivalries. We're excited to get after it, though. That's why we're here, and that's what you sign up for when you do this job. So, yeah, we got a lot to get into today, obviously, and should be a lot of fun.
It is pretty cool that it's like, so week one is spread out. You can't wait for it. And it's Thursday, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday over Labor Day weekend, which is just an overdose. And then week 14, which is the final wall-to-wall Saturday, becomes now Friday and Saturday are basically wall-to-wall. Used to be Black Friday had maybe one game. Now there's a full slate on Friday. And I can't be more excited about it. But before we get into all that, we want to do a brief recap of the weekend. We want to touch on Lane Kiffin. We want to do some Trocchi trivia. And then, of course, update on the confidence contest. Will Bill Bender put me in my place last weekend with a perfect week? So we enter with Bender in the lead for the final week 14 picks. But before we do that, let's do a little Trocchi trivia. I'll ask you a question. We'll revisit at the end of the show. Are you ready, Bill?
I am.
In his 14-year head coaching career, Lane Kiffin has made 2 New Year's Six Bowls. Can you name the bowls and the results?
I can. I'm not sure.
2 New Year's Six Bowls for Mr. Lane Kiffin. Who'd he play and how'd he do? So we are going to, let's start with Lane Kiffin. He has come out and he's going to coach the Egg Bowl Friday at noon. He's assuming that the news is not going to leak at some point, whether or not he's staying at Ole Miss or he's going to LSU or he's going to Florida. I don't recall another situation as weird as this one. I heard, I want to credit where credit's due, the Yahoo podcast. Can't remember who said it. That there's been some fractures inside the Ole Miss coaching staff about the situation right now, and they're preparing for potentially Joe Judge, I guess, to be the interim coach should Lane bail after the Egg Bowl. So I'm sure you've been asked about it all week on your media tours. What's your take on Lane, and can you ever remember a situation quite like this?
I mean, I told everyone last week if he leaves, he's not coaching the playoff, and
no,
people were acting like, oh no, he will. No, he won't. He will leave. That's how this works, and nobody in the state of Mississippi is going to let him coach. I think he's gone, but we'll see. And it's the telecast. The Egg Bowl is going to be a complete distraction. Now, the part that I might not agree with other people, and he tried to justify it yesterday in the press conference where he was saying it is a different generation with these kids, like the thinking of a coach. Yeah, that was the way of saying if you read between the lines, if I leave, this is a business. I kind of believe that on some level, not all the way. I mean, people are saying, well, anytime he goes into a locker room and says anything to kids, they won't believe him. Well, yeah, I don't know that kids listen to those speeches anyway. So, I mean, it's part of the business. Yeah. If LSU offers him $100 million or whatever it is, and he wants to go take that job, this is the way you have to do it now because signing day is where it is on the calendar. So, yes, it's a magical season for Ole Miss, and yes, he's a part of it, but this is another flaw in the college football system, and Lane's going to be the one that'll probably be the example that we have to look at correcting it. So I'm not saying what he's doing. I don't really care that he leaves to LSU. I mean, that's his decision. He's the coach. He's the one that's had all this success. He's the one that's earned that. So, and doing it in the middle of the season, that's the way you have to do it. So that's kind of my take on it. And the rest is a circus. I mean, I wish he would just come out and say, I'm leaving for LSU after the game. Then it would be a super big mess in Ole Miss this week, because he probably wouldn't be coaching the Egg Bowl.
And even if they win, it's going to take all the steam out of beating them and making the playoff and all that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely an unfortunate situation for the Rebels fans. I think they're getting angrier and angrier just that he's stretching it out and he won't, either pull the plug or make an announcement or whatever. This goes back to my solution to have the national championship on January 1st and to have the tournament into the first 3 Saturdays in December, and then have the transfer portal in January, and you wouldn't have to make a coaching change until after if you wanted to move signing day back to February as well, then you wouldn't have any coaching changes. You wouldn't have any transfer portal issues during the playoff. You wouldn't have any roster building for next season. As it's currently set up, you have to start building a roster while you're still in the playoff. If you make the semifinals or the finals, which doesn't make any sense, obviously. So frustrating calendar for everyone involved. And, but it is funny that he's playing the heel. He's playing the wrestling heel, and he's trying to drag it out. So what other takeaways did you have from week 13 last week? Real quick, I was out, actually took in the Vanderbilt Kentucky game as a fan for the first time in a long time. Saw a very good performance by Mr. Diego Pavia, who is climbing up the Heisman rankings a little bit. You're riding some on the Heisman this week. What's your take there? We'll start there, and then we'll go back to like kind of the games I didn't really see, which Oregon, USC, and some others.
Yeah, Oregon, USC was fun. They got up and down. I think Oregon is underrated. They ran the ball. USC didn't. Exciting first half between those two. That was probably one of the more exciting games of the day. Pitt was, knocked out. I mean, you probably at least saw a little bit of that. Pitt
28-0.
Yeah, they didn't.
8-0. They couldn't they scored 1 touchdown against Notre Dame in literally the last play of the game. And then they had 4 touchdowns against Georgia Tech in a little over a quarter.
Yeah. And then, obviously you get into the Notre Dame Miami debate. Notre Dame scoring 70. Jeremiah Love is actually the guy running into the Heisman Trophy conversation, and his odds have surged a little bit. So, the one path there, even though they don't play on conference championship weekend, would be if Jeremiah Love runs for like 250 yards against Stanford, and then
after everybody's asleep.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the bad part. That's really the bad part, honestly. And then Mendoza and Sayin playing like some rough Big Ten championship game, which is entirely possible. We could all look at our ballots and say, well, I'll just take the best player. And you might want to take Jeremiah Love at that point. Other than that, pretty standard Saturday. I mean, it all really geared toward rivalry week. And, the thing about this week is that I think is different, Bill, than other rivalry weeks is Friday's probably more intriguing in some ways than Saturday, especially with the 3 games that they have in those slots. So, Lane, it goes back to what we were just talking about. Lane's like hijacked rivalry week in some ways, because we're all going to be watching that game and waiting to see the chain reaction of what might happen when he makes his decision.
Right, and he wants to make the decision on Saturday, presumably, if it doesn't leak, which it probably will, but during the Michigan-Ohio State game. He's trying to overshadow the biggest game of the season somehow.
Right. So
that's his style, man.
There's nobody in Ann Arbor that's going to be caring what Lane Kiffin does at that point. But I do think it'll be interesting to see what he does. I got a text. I think Brett McMurphy, I think he's pulling some of us national guys about, I don't know if he ran that story yet, so I hope I didn't get him in trouble, but he's basically pulling us to say, where do you think he'll coach next year? And I said LSU. When he asked, he said, no, just the answer. No, anything else. I just said,
no commentary.
I think Lane Kiffin will be at LSU. That's where I think. And Brett, I'm interested to see what his numbers come up with. It'll be fun.
All right. Well, yeah, just quick programming note. I saw somebody ask what we were doing. Yeah, this is a double podcast in place of Thursday. We're not doing one on Thursday. We will have one tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill.
Yeah, that'd be good.
We are going to go live during the reveal of the latest college football playoff rankings. Those will come out at 7 o'clock on ESPN, and we will chat through those. We don't expect much change, but you never know. Oregon might climb up a little bit, and then the bubble might adjust again as Miami keeps chasing down Notre Dame, and then all of a sudden they'll be in the same group, and then they could jump them. Who knows? So that's the intrigue, really, for the show tonight. So we will be back tonight, and then we will be not doing a show Thursday morning, as we will be enjoying the holiday with the families. All right, are you ready? Let's get into our viewer's guide. Thanksgiving itself, if you want to get away from the NFL for a second, Navy's at Memphis on ESPN at 7:30. Navy's in a three-way tie for first in the American with Tulane and North Texas. The Middies finished third in a three-way tie scenario with those two. So they need to win, and they need one of those two teams to lose, either North Texas on Friday or Tulane on Saturday, in order to get into the American Championship game and have a shot at the G5 berth. Who knows? But let's start with Friday noon window, as we were talking about. Egg Bowl, number 6, Ole Miss at Mississippi State, noon on ABC. Ole Miss is a 7.5-point favorite. What's the question? How distracted is Ole Miss going to be? That's really the only question. Mississippi State's been pretty good at home this year, right? 3-3. Overtime losses to Tennessee and Texas, plus a surprising win over Arizona State way back early in the season. How distracted, and what are your thoughts on this one?
The game's secondary. I really don't have any analysis on the game other than Ole Miss needs to win, and they are going into a place where Mississippi State has played, not spoiler, but they played tough at home most of the season. They got blown out their last 2 games, but Ole Miss should win the game. But it's Egg Bowl, and it's the Lane Kiffin factor. When you have coaches, we'll see where their headspace is.
It really is going to be interesting, to see. And like you said, that I don't know how much the broadcast is going to be about Lane, how many cutaways to focus on him on the sideline. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. Keep the clicker handy during that window. Number 14, Utah at Kansas, noon on ESPN. And then we also have Iowa at Nebraska, noon on CBS. So it feels like a Saturday with networks going with double and triple headers all day. I always love the Iowa-Nebraska game. It's just a rock fight the whole time. It's going to be a rock fight again this year. And then, Utah's been hot, at least offensively. They escaped last week, and they have got some playoff hopes as well.
Yeah, good window there. I mean, Utah's long shot to get into the Big 12 championship game. They need a lot of help, but they've scored averaged 50 points in their last 3 games. So I would imagine they play well. Iowa, Nebraska, you got a point there. That's normally a pretty close game. Nebraska not playing well last week, obviously, but it sets up into the second window where we have this Georgia Tech game. I think you're going, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll have it covered there. I mean, a little bit of shine off of it with Georgia Tech getting beat and likely not going to the ACC championship game or the playoff. But
so speaking of Utah, tell everybody how much you've been in the lab going through these tiebreakers this week.
Right. Let me pull that one up. I've got them all done. They need a lot of help, I think. The Big 12 is probably the most open and shut.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Texas Tech and BYU, but let me see here. The Utes need a win against Kansas, and you always have to use the all caps in these, a Texas Tech loss against West Virginia, and a BYU win against UCF, and an Arizona State win against Arizona, the Texas Tech part's the hard part, because they would get in this 3-way tie. The little heel in the Big 12 thing, Arizona State's still in the mix because they beat Texas Tech. So that's kind of like the little knot in there. But I think Utah, I think that's going to be BYU and Texas Tech. Both are heavy favorites, though. West Virginia at Morgantown, you never know with the weather. Rich Rod and those guys have been playing a little bit better, but I still don't. They're 21. They are a 21-point underdog, and UCF's an 18-point underdog against BYU. So these are long shots for chaos to happen in the Big 12.
Definitely. All right, yeah. The afternoon window on Friday is number 4 Georgia versus number 23 Georgia Tech at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, 3:30 on ABC. Georgia is a 13-point favorite. Georgia Tech's defense has absolutely imploded the last 3 weeks, and they're facing really a hot Gunnar Stockton right now. So that doesn't help. Tech looked like it was going to have a very good chance in this game early in the season when Georgia kept eking out wins, and Tech had everything flowing for them. But these teams are going in opposite directions right now.
Yeah, you've got a feature on Brent Key that I haven't read yet this morning, but I'll get to it. I know that our listeners should. I mean, I know Bill does a really good job. He's around Georgia Tech a lot, being in the neighborhood. And to me, it's that defense, and it's allowed 511 yards per game the last 3 weeks. They did bow up a little bit against Pitt in the second half to give them a chance, but
they did.
I don't like where they're at right now with Georgia coming in there. And I think Georgia, rivalry aside and all that, if Gunnar Stockton's on point and they don't turn the ball over and get the running game going a little bit, Georgia Tech could be in a little bit of trouble. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when I was looking at Georgia's season, I didn't realize their offense, they've scored 35 or more points in 5 SEC games. So I thought they were struggling more than they were. Even the overtime game about Tennessee, it was like 38 in regulation. Like they've been getting 35 points a game, and against the defense that can't really stop anyone, that number could be 45 this week.
Yeah, so. And it's going to be hard to slow this Georgia team down. The only question is, are they going to get a path open for them to get to the SEC championship game?
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I did a story on Brent Key. He was very cooperative with it, and talked to some people that have kind of helped him along his journey. His coaching tree is basically George O'Leary and Nick Saban, 2 tough love, demanding kind of guys. Key has a little bit of that, but he also has an emotional side to him too. So it was a fun story to write. That's on sportingnews.com right now. So hopefully you go and check it out. Evening window on Friday, number 3 Texas A&M at number 16 Texas, 7:30 on ABC. Another great one. Texas A&M is a 2.5-point favorite. You picked this as an upset in your picks at sportingnews.com. I think I agree. Texas beat Arkansas 52-37 last week. They were up 52-20 in the fourth quarter. Arkansas got a few late touchdowns. How much does this game mean to Texas A&M? That's the question. On the one hand, sort of means nothing, right? They're in the playoff, 100%. But they would love to get to the SEC championship game for the first time. They would love to stick it to Texas. So this gets into the whole, well, do these games mean anything? If they're in the playoff, not in the playoff? Everyone on that sideline, this game's going to mean a lot to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, this is the negative of the college football playoff. It is the most important game of the year. It is the most important thing of the year, especially for these two fan bases. They haven't been in Austin since 2010. So yeah, you can go to the playoff, you can go to the SEC championship game. They probably won't go to the SEC championship game if they lose, but you can do all those things, and it won't feel quite the same if you didn't beat Texas. That's how college football should feel. But they're running into a hot Arch Manning at the wrong time. Marcel Reed should have success against that Texas pass defense, but they're going to struggle to run the football. And Arch Manning, when everybody buried him, except me, he's averaged 328.5 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception his last 4 games. He's balling out. You just give the kid a little bit of time. It's going to, if anything, we're going to repeat this cycle and give him a bunch of hype going into 2026. That's going to happen. But
you just said give him a little time, and I think it's literally give him a little time from the offensive line. I think that's been a little bit of the change, And now you can see what he was doing. He was under fire a lot in that first half of the season.
Yeah, he's playing well. I mean, we can't. There's a lot of people that are going to nitpick Arch Manning his whole life, and ever since the Oklahoma game, and there was a couple columns written that week after the Florida game where they said he was a bust. I mean, that's just give it time. Let things play out. I say it all the time. So, but yeah, I like Texas to win the game, and we'll probably hit on that here when we get to the confidence contest.
Where are you on the Marcel Reed Heisman list? You haven't written the Heisman piece yet? Is he prominent?
He's probably on the outskirts. I mean, he can definitely push in there. There's that clump of guys like Pavia and Reed and Haynes King that probably should be getting more love, because right now it's Sayin, Mendoza, Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Smith probably could make like a late run, but it'll be interesting to see who out of Pavia, King, and Reed, and that's all three of them being in the kind of the spotlight this week. We'll find out.
Very true. Very good. All right. So keep the clicker handy. Friday night, we've got number 2 Indiana at Purdue on NBC at 7:30, and then Arizona State at 9 on Fox. So we have a couple of network games on Friday night as well. Indiana, obviously, well, actually, they're not officially clinched in the Big Ten championship game, but we all assume they will roll over Purdue. And then Arizona State's got a flickering hope, and it will still be intact, I think, Friday night. So when they play, they will have something on the line as well. All right, let's get into Saturday. Ann Arbor, Michigan. You will be there. Number 1, Ohio State at number 15, Michigan, noon on Fox. Ohio State is a 10-point favorite. I looked this up, Bill. Michigan has not won 5 straight in this series since the 1920s, which is amazing. Michigan seems to have put its best game of the season together against Maryland last week. Like I said, I didn't see it, but the numbers look very good. And Ohio State has some injury issues with Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, a wide receiver. They didn't play last week. The vibes are leaning Michigan as we head into this one. Yes?
No. I think Ohio State will win. I get where Michigan's going. I just think the Ohio State defense will be the difference. It's the best defense in the country. This game's based on defense and running the football. And, for Ryan Day, just keep it simple this week and go win the football game. Don't make this an ego thing where I have to run it up the middle against Michigan or make it a psychological test. Yes, it's going to be a hard game for Ohio State. They are at Michigan. The elements might be at work. The Wolverines are playing better. They've got some injuries too at running back. We don't know if Jordan Marshall's going to play. But yeah, just go. I've watched, this is the 10th one I'm going to be at. And, when I've watched the Urban Meyer teams go up to Ann Arbor, they just went out and won the game. Reminds me of 2015. It was Harbaugh's first year. And all of these things you just said was kind of like, okay, Michigan's got the momentum. And then Ohio State just smacked them down with that Ezekiel Elliott team. So that would be my advice to Ryan Day. On the other side, can Michigan pull the upset? Sure. Bryce Underwood would need to play better. He had a 50% completion percentage in the losses to total in the losses to Oklahoma and USC. But they'll get after it. It's the best game in sports, college football. It's the best rivalry in college football. There's not a second. There's not even a rivalry to me. And I know I grew up in the middle of it and in this bubble. There's just not a game that generates even close to it. And I've worked with guys that went to Alabama and Auburn, and I'm like, that's a nice game, but it's not this. So it's the combination of rivalry, national implications, most watched game every year. There's not a rivalry that's better. And I know that somebody will say no, Notre Dame, USC, or Texas A&M actually pretty close in terms of heat, but they didn't play for 15 years. You've had this game your whole life. It's different, and it's not even close, in my opinion.
So if I'm a Buckeye, I'm feeling an enormous pressure, needless to say. They haven't had a close game since August. So if it gets into the fourth quarter, you've got the pressure of an undefeated season, the pressure of beating Michigan and the pressure of suddenly, oh my goodness, Julian Sain has to make a play rather than being up 10, 14, 20, 25 points. That could be a factor. I think it was a factor last year.
Yeah, it was. Well, and they, but there was a drive late in the first half last year where they just went down, threw the ball, and scored to Jeremiah Smith. It's like that's what they need to do. The pressure's always there. That's this game. Like, you want to talk about Ryan Day, and he has a winning percentage that's better than Newt Rockne for his career, but he's 1-4 against Michigan. And the number they remember around here is that one. Nobody knows what Ryan Day's winning percentage is. If I went out to my neighbors and walked around and said, what's Ohio State or what's Day's record against Michigan, they'll all know. It's the most important thing. And I'm not saying you want to win a national championship. I understand that. I'll be writing a column about it later this week, but I kind of like that the Michigan game's more important. I like that. That's what college football should be. You take care of your backyard first. But, the evolution of that has changed. You said the same thing about Texas A&M, Texas. I bet there's a faction of Aggies fans that you can win an SEC championship or you can beat Texas. I think they'd beat Texas. So, and as you should.
The rest of the country thinks you're insane, by the way, the Michigan, Ohio State people.
Well, that's why it's number one.
That's why it's number one. All right, keep the clicker handy in the noon window on Saturday. Big one, the ACC, number 13, Miami. These are AP rankings, by the way, since the CFP rankings haven't come out. Number 13, Miami at number 24, Pittsburgh. Noon on ABC. That one's obviously big for the ACC race. It's big for the college football playoff race. It's big for Notre Dame people. Worried about Miami catching them in the rankings. So that is a good secondary to the Ohio State-Michigan game. Also, number 7, Texas Tech at West Virginia is the noon game on ESPN. Texas Tech trying to finish off a spot in the Big 12 championship game. And then UCF at BYU is 1 o'clock on ESPN2. So the two favorites of the Big 12 will be playing in the early window on Saturday.
Yeah, obviously it's a decent window. I'm intrigued by Pitt Miami and whether or not that will update or will that open up any of these many paths in the ACC, because I think the ACC would, if we were sitting in that room with Jim Phillips again, we could ask, do you want Miami and Charlotte? And then you could stick him with truth serum and they would probably say yes. But Pitt, Narduzzi was kind of right. Hey,
it is. We're getting weather reports here from the chat room here that the low 30s for the Hurricanes. That's not good for them.
No, they'll be around the heater. So, that could add another wrinkle. And I think that's going to be a wild game. I believe I had Pitt covering in that game. So, but Miami, yeah, that's one of the games we'll definitely have on the monitor in the press box at the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Definitely. So, all right, afternoon window number 5, Oregon at Washington. 3:30 on CBS. CBS gets another good one here. Oregon is a 6.5-point favorite. Underrated rivalry here. I think this game sort of means more to these two fan bases than the in-state rivalries, I think, which sometimes happens when you're kind of the big brother of the Oregon State. I think Oregon and Washington measure themselves against each other. It's a nice border war. Last 10 meetings, it's 5-5 apiece, and Oregon won 49-21 last year after 3 straight losses to Washington. Washington, it's just, I can't figure them out. Like, are they good? For first 3 games, they average 56 points a game. All right, so we think maybe they're good. Then they score 6 against Ohio State in a 24-6 loss. They beat Maryland and Rutgers. Okay, maybe they're good. Then they lose by 17 to Michigan. And then they beat a ranked Illinois team by 17. All right, maybe they're good. Then they lose to Wisconsin. Can't figure them out. Last 2 weeks, they won by an average of 35 against UCLA and Purdue. So what's the verdict? They are the roller coaster team of the Big Ten.
Yeah, well, just they're the best team in the country that everybody thinks should be ranked. That isn't that great. They're okay. They could make that line sticks out to me because I think Oregon's way better than them. But we'll see. They've got some pieces. Jed Fish obviously also has been mentioned in that Florida coaching search, but I don't know. I just think Oregon showed me last week. They're physical. They can run the football. They've got a really good defense. Probably the least talked about of the Big Ten teams, and it's worked out for Dan Lanning because I think they could end up being a dangerous team in the college football playoff. In that whether they get a 5-6 seed, they'll be all right.
Yeah, you've been on the Oregon bandwagon for a while, and I think it helped that you saw them in person, and you saw just how good they can be. So keep the clicker handy. LSU at number 8, Oklahoma, the 3:30 game on ABC. A little surprising that ABC went with that game. LSU has obviously packed it in. The number 12 Vanderbilt at number 18 Tennessee, 3:30 on ESPN. That might have been a better choice for ABC. Diego Pavia is playing great. He's a Heisman guy. He's a colorful guy. Big rivalry here, rivalry game against the Vols. Vols do not want to. They've won a bunch in a row. I think 7 in a row in the series. They don't want that to end. And then UCLA at USC, the uniform game, 4:30 on NBC.
Yeah, Tennessee, Vandy. Does Vandy break that streak? One, do they Pavia get to New York? He could do both. Or does Tennessee win that game with Joey Aguilar? That's probably the most interesting game in that window to me, honestly, because, the streaks are made to be broken and it's been a minute, and it would signal a shift with Clark Lee that, what he's done, and even put them on the playoff fringe if they can win that 10th game.
Right. All right, evening window, number 10, Alabama at Auburn, the Iron Bowl, 3:30, ABC. Alabama is a 5.5-point favorite. All these games are within a touchdown spread, most of them, which is interesting. The last 2 Iron Bowls at Jordan-Hare have been insane. I assume you remember them. Alabama needed a 97-yard touchdown drive in the last 2 minutes to force overtime in 2021. It tied 1 in double overtime. And then in 2023, Alabama scored the winning touchdown with 32 seconds left on a 4th and goal from the 31-yard line. Ohio State, Michigan ain't never seen nothing like that, Bender. Nothing. I promise you. Anyway, this is less than a TD spread. I think that's accurate. Auburn's D has been solid all season. Vanderbilt, the only team to score more than 24 on them. Ashton Daniels will start at quarterback. He led the Tigers to 38 points against Vandy in his only start. He looked great. Then they played Deuce Knight against Mercer last week, and he went wild. He ran like crazy on them. So they may use him as a little dual threat, running option kind of thing for against Alabama, in the running situations or whatever. It could be a 2 quarterback option for DJ Durkin. So this one definitely has potential on Saturday night.
Well, I mean, for being the best rivalry in college football, it always has one team that's ranked and one that isn't. So it must be great if one team's ranked every time, and then it's only a good game when they play at Jordan-Hare. No, I mean, it'll be – I'm making a joke because, it's not even close to Ohio State, Michigan. But, yeah, I mean, Auburn a chance to play spoiler, get bowl eligible. For Kalen DeBoer, for all the narratives about his road games and those kind of things, he's kind of dispelled that a little bit this year. But that's a big game. Saban actually lost a few down here. That was the one place where Auburn was the one that they would get him every once in a while in Jordan-Hare, whether it was the Cam back or Nick Marshall game, the Kick 6 game. Obviously, some legendary college football games have been played there. But I just think
Alabama made a lot of money on some of those games.
Yes, he did. And Alabama's a better team. And, if they can get in there and get that running game going just a little bit against Auburn, there's no reason why they can't win, which obviously I believe would propel them to the SEC championship game, barring some tiebreakers and those kind of things. I think that advantage they have is that win against Georgia. So I like the Crimson Tide here. Yeah,
that's one of those cool things where like the SEC race is not going to be decided until Saturday night. Like this game will still have meaning for that one. So anyway, all right, keep the clicker handy real quick on Saturday night. Virginia Tech at number 17, Virginia, 7:30 ESPN. That'll be a ACC title implications in that one. Number 25 SMU at Cal. Also, that's 8:00 on ESPN2. And then number 9 Notre Dame wrapping up the massive feast week. Number 9 Notre Dame at Stanford, 10:30 on ESPN, a late one. And we will be watching that one as it goes final. We'll see what Jeremiah Love does. We expect Notre Dame to roll in that one. And then it'll be up to the College Football Playoff Committee after championship weekend to determine Notre Dame's playoff fate. Let's get into the confidence contest. Bender, do I need to remind you were perfect last week?
That was nice. It's about time. I think all the years we've done this, I've never had a 5-0 record. So
15 points on me. So we pick 5 games against the spread every week, and we order them in order of confidence: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You went 5 for 5, 15 points last week. Took the lead. I got my 3, my 2, and my 1. So that's only 6. I missed the top 2. Season total: Bender 110.5 to 104. Right now, you lead by 6.5. So all you have to do is bring it home, and you will win the season championship. So
make a couple.
You start us off with your 5-pointer.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it earlier. So I know they're going to Washington, but I like Oregon by a touchdown there. So I'll go Oregon 6.5. They can clinch their second straight appearance. I get that it's a solid Washington team, but Oregon had 10 sacks in that game last year. So we'll see what Washington can do. Give me the Ducks for 5.
All right. I was up well past my bedtime in the lab last night trying to get my picks ready to come from behind and steal this contest back from you. My 5-pointer, Boston College, -3 at Syracuse. I mean, can Syracuse beat a high school team at this point?
That's not a bad pick.
Yeah, BC still playing pretty hard, right? 3 of their last 4 games, they were within a touchdown in the fourth quarter. So I know they're 1-10, but they had Louisville, Notre Dame, and Georgia Tech in a game in the fourth quarter. Syracuse clearly has packed it in. I think this is a steal at 5 points.
It's not a bad call.
BC -3.
Okay, I'm going to, for my 4, I'll go Penn State -13 against Rutgers. The Nittany Lions need that to be bowl eligible. They're coming off a big win. Terry Smith getting some momentum. I mean, maybe they would consider him as head coach. I doubt they do, but I think the Nittany Lions get to bowl eligibility. They have a history of just destroying Rutgers, by the way. You go look down the scores. There really hasn't been a close game in that series since 2014. Give me the Nittany Lions, even though they're on the road.
I think that's a good pick, actually. I really do. I looked at that one. Didn't get it in my top 5, though. All right, my 4-pointer, Arkansas, +2.5 against Missouri at home. Arkansas is on a 9-game losing streak, but 4 of those losses were by 3 points or less. I think they're due. Missouri's lost 4 out of 6. They've fallen out of the polls. They've seen a promising season with a manageable schedule fall apart. So I'm going with the home dog or the home hogs here. Arkansas +2.5. You still with me? You're on mute, my man.
Thought I wasn't. I got Alabama 3, -5.5. I think they can go in there and win by a touchdown. It won't be easy. All the things you said about Jordan Hare considered, but I kind of like Crimson Tide. Get to the SEC championship game, and then if they would lose that 3rd game, then we'll see. But they're not going to lose that 3rd game here. Give me the Crimson Tide in a win. So,
all right, I'm taking Pitt +7 as my 3-pointer against Miami. I like the home field advantage. Pitt's been terrific on offense since Mason Heintzel took over, except for that Notre Dame game. Miami has a good defense, but it's a cold weather game. Miami has a history of losing this type of game. I like the Panthers as long as they don't do a dumb fake punt in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean that game has Get Wild written all over it as part of that ACC race. I'm gonna take SMU 13.5. I know they're at Cal. That'll be my 2, but I think they've been playing awesome. Cal fires Justin Wilcox. You could say it might be an emotional bump game. This might be we're ready for next season game. SMU with something to play for goes out there, and I not only think they're going to win this one, I think they're going to win the ACC. I
Hmm.
know I have Virginia in our playoff. You could say, well, you have Virginia in your playoff bracket. Well, yeah, because they are a double-digit favorite too, and they should get to Charlotte as well.
Yeah.
But if it's Virginia and SMU, I'm guessing SMU would be the favorite in that game.
Yep, I agree. 2-pointer, Vandy, plus 2.5 at Tennessee. The team I saw last week wins this game by 2 touchdowns. I don't know if they'll play like they did, but they were great in all 3 phases. Pavia was off the charts. They can play tempo. They can play slow down, long possession type stuff. Tennessee's defense has been vulnerable this year. I feel like Clark Lee fixed whatever was ailing that defense against Texas and Auburn during that bye week, because that was a new team last week. So I think the Doors get their 10th win for the first time in school history.
Nice. I'm going to go Texas plus 2.5 is my one. I think they pull the upset, drive the Aggies crazy, keep the Aggies out of Atlanta, and continue that endless war between those two. And as a bonus pick, I don't have it, but I do think Ohio State will cover the 10. I think it'll be tight for a half, but I think I put 27-13, something like that for Ohio State, Michigan. I just think it doesn't feel like last year, and it's probably actually better that they're playing in Ann Arbor. And that, as strange as that sounds, like, they were playing at Ohio State. I think the tension in that stadium might get to them a little bit like it did last year. But in Ann Arbor, I like the Buckeyes. I think they break that losing streak to the Wolverines.
Okay. My 1-pointer is going to be Utah, minus 12 at Kansas. Utah obviously had their close call last week. I don't think it happens again. Kansas has kind of just lost its mojo, right? Lance Leipold's name is not out there anymore like it was 3 years ago. They've gone 5-7 last year, 5-6 this year. Like, that 9-win season seems like a long time ago. So Utah, you mentioned it earlier, they've averaged 51 points a game in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, they can score.
Yeah, Kansas isn't going to keep up with that. So, all right. So, to review, final week, you got Oregon minus 6.5, Penn State minus 13, Alabama minus 5.5, SMU minus 13.5, and your lone dog, the Texas Longhorns, plus 2.5. I'm going BC minus 3, Arkansas plus 2.5, Pitt plus 7, Vandy plus 2.5, Utah minus 12. We'll see how it plays out, and that'll be it for the season. Back to Trocchi Trivia, then we're going to get out of here. Can you name the 2 New Year's 6 bowls that Lane Kiffin made and his results?
Yes, I can. I'm just trying to think what the bowl games were. They played Baylor in a Sugar Bowl.
You are correct.
They lost.
2021, they lost.
Luke Altmaier came in for Matt Corral.
Very good. You got it. 21-7, they lost the game.
And I got that game wrong because I picked Ole Miss. And then they beat Penn State in the which one was it? Chick-fil-A Bowl.
You are correct.
Drew Aller played really poorly.
Right here in Atlanta. I was really sick that game. I didn't
know if you went to that one or not.
I was gonna go, and I got sick on New Year's.
I remember that year. Aller played poorly. Ole Miss won pretty handily, and we did what we've done for 3 years with Lane since, is say, is this the year they go to the playoff? And now that they will, and for our listeners, we'll have a story here about the chain reaction of what might happen if Lane goes to LSU. We're going to have some fun with that, believe me. But yeah, before we let everybody go, Bill, happy Thanksgiving to all our listeners. I think Bill and I have had I can speak for you, I guess, but we've had a lot of fun with our listeners this year. We do have some loyal ones. We appreciate everything that Brian does for us at IB. We like talking to you guys on here, and so to all your families, have a happy Thanksgiving. I know rivalry week is it's a crunch for us at work, but it's a lot of fun for everybody here, and we work really hard at Sporting News, and we appreciate all the support. I hope that didn't sound like coach speak, did it? Like like Kiffin. That was better than Kiffin at the podium yesterday, where he was basically non-answering everything.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for saying that. It's been great. The chat room has been really fun on these live shows. We're obviously going to continue them. into the playoffs, beyond the playoffs. And like you said, Brian Driscoll does a great job with us. He will be with us tonight as we go through the college football playoff. I know some people discovered our show through his show, which is great, and we have really enjoyed it. So
yeah, we could have saved that speech for tonight, Father Penny, because we are going to talk about the rankings. Is Brian going to join us, you said?
Yes.
Great. Now then, all those good feelings and goodwill will be thrown right out the door when he makes me angry for the first time.
All right, so we're going to get out of here. For now, we will be back tonight at 7 o'clock or maybe 6:50 before the rankings come out. So thank you to everyone for listening to the CFB Nation All-America podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you again to Irish Breakdown, your source for Notre Dame football information. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy all the games, and we will see you soon.